Get ready to cha-la head cha-la, my friends, because Dragon Ball FighterZ is finally here. Easily, without a shadow of a doubt, the most hyped Dragon Ball game of all time. I have been desperately waiting to get my hands on it, and I've had 48 hours to completely dive right in. I played with some friends, I played online, I even went into the story mode, which is surprisingly awesome, especially for hardcore fans of the series. And today I'm going to share some of my gameplay with you. Now, this is not exactly a review, it's basically just my overall impressions of the game, and whether or not I can actually recommend it to you, and my hopes for the future of Dragon Ball FighterZ. Or is it Dragon Ball FighterZ? Whatever. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. The hype behind Dragon Ball FighterZ has got to be one of the craziest things that I've ever seen from the franchise. I mean, there have been some really successful Dragon Ball fighting games in the past, the Budokai Tenkaichi series, the Xenoverse series, but they never really appealed to me. I always felt that all of the characters kind of played the same, and it just sort of felt like just more of the same. Like, the series never really evolved that much. I mean, superficially it did. There were some smaller elements to it, and I have to admit, the Xenoverse story, while completely convoluted and ridiculous, is actually a lot of fun, and I actually do like some of the original character designs that come from those games. But still, I was always yearning for something a little more classic for the Dragon Ball franchise, something more in line with, say, Street Fighter, something like a classic 2D-styled fighter, and we finally got our wishes granted with Dragon Ball FighterZ. I knew immediately that I was going to love this game from the very first screenshot they released of it. When they hadn't even shown any video content of it, it was just a screenshot of Goku and Frieza fighting each other, and you could just tell by looking at the art style that they were trying to emulate the actual anime itself, and in many ways, not only do they do a great job of doing that, but they even surpass it. This is a visually stunning game which totally captures everything about Dragon Ball, from the sounds, to the punches, to the big giant super ki blast attacks. Everything is just there, and it feels distinctively Dragon Ball. I absolutely love it. It is worth mentioning that this game was done by Arc System Works, who've worked on some classic games in the fighting genre, such as BlazBlue and Guilty Gear, and I have to admit, I've never really played that series, although I've always appreciated it for its art style, and always staying true to sort of trying to create those old-school sprites that we saw from the original fighting games in the Street Fighter series, and even stuff like Final Fight, Fatal Fury, all that stuff. I was really glad that they were doing something like this for Dragon Ball and totally taking advantage of the fact that this is a unique-looking anime series, and they can make a game that looks just as good as the manga, the anime, and even better. And they did a great job here, and it's really evident that they paid a lot of attention to the most minor details of the series. Every single element of a character is done justice, whether it's their actual personalities, their dialogue, or even their attacks. There are so many things here for the fans to recognize, and that's really one of the best things about Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's a celebration of the entire series. But what about the game itself? Yeah, it looks really amazing, and it's always exploding off the screen with all these crazy attacks. Really, though, the gameplay is the best thing about it. It is one of those games that I think can be given the title of really, really difficult to learn, or actually no, it's more like easy to learn, hard to master. It's the best thing about the game, to be perfectly honest. When I started playing this with a couple of my friends, everybody was able to immediately play the game and understand it. There are auto combos in the game that allow people who are not very good at fighting games to actually jump in and stand something of a chance against people who spend hours in the training room learning really hard, convoluted combos. But that's also the beauty of the game. You can do that as well. If you actually want to build out your combo set for your character and make it something uniquely your own, then you can do it. Go in the lab and make it happen. I've done it myself, and it's really fun and satisfying when you can actually create a combo that works for you, deals out lots of damage, and most importantly of all, looks really flashy and awesome while you're doing it. It's really one of the coolest things about the game, and the fact that this is a tag team style fighter is great, which means you can mix and match and come up with all sorts of really great things. But again, like I said, anybody can jump in and start ki blasting and blowing stuff up and really feeling like they're a character in the Dragon Ball world. It's really great, and the actual fighting system is very simple. If you can throw a Hadouken in Street Fighter, which is a quarter circle motion followed by a punch attack, pretty much you can play this game. It's that simple. It's divided into low, medium, and heavy attacks. You have your ki blasts, your super attacks, and your big ultras, which are really flashy and over the top, and definitely one of my favorite things about the game. And when you can execute them at the end of a combo, man, it just feels great. It's not too dissimilar from the Marvel vs. Capcom games, where you're constantly switching out and using unique techniques to create these big flashy combos and try to get your opponent trapped where they almost can't even do anything. It's very similar, yet still much more accessible, which is something that I really like. So the gameplay is really solid, and there's even little details with the stage, which superficially in these games, the stages are just there as a backdrop, just that. But you can actually slightly interact with them in a number of different ways, like you can knock back your enemy's ki blasts to destroy the environment around you, or if you finish off an opponent with a big heavy attack, you can send them flying off a stage, and you get this big cinematic cutscene of seeing them go to the next big location. It's been done in other fighting games before, like Injustice and a lot of other ones, but here it's done in that distinctive anime way, that Dragon Ball way, that just feels really freaking good. I'd be remiss if I didn't just talk about the roster for a minute. I like this roster. I'm okay with this roster. For a first game in a brand new fighting game franchise for Dragon Ball, I'm pretty satisfied with what we got here, and I'm glad that we didn't get too many clone characters. We have two versions of Goku and Vegeta. The different ones are blue and everything, but they actually have a completely different moveset and feel different. I really do like that. While I would, of course, like to have the ability to transform into various forms like Super Saiyan 3 or even the Red Super Saiyan God, I find myself not missing them, but only because the characters themselves feel so distinctive and unique, and yet they all kind of control in the same exact way. But it's in those attacks that are done so freaking well. I mean, Goku is exactly how you would expect him. Vegeta's just like him, except a little more rough around the edges and way more dangerous and powerful. And then, of course, you just have all the new characters who've finally been added to this one, like Goku Black and frickin' Hit. Hit is one of my favorite characters in this game. He's very different than the other characters in the game, as he doesn't use ki blasts. He's mostly about counters and being able to teleport around his opponents and beat them with big surprise attacks. I found that playing with him has been a really fun challenge, and he's probably my favorite character in the game, to be perfectly honest, but I've grown to appreciate a lot of others. I absolutely love Frieza in this game. He's a monster. He can cover so much ground with his projectiles, of which he has so many, and just, like I said, the attention to detail. He has a move where he can throw those, weird pink Destructo-like disc things at the enemy, and they actually come back, and they can hurt Frieza, just like when Frieza was actually cutting himself up in the Namek arc. It's really great attention to detail. You can even go into Golden Frieza in this game. Really, though, the roster is good. There are some glaring omissions, I'm not going to lie. I mean, if it were up to me, I could literally choose another 150 different Dragon Ball characters to throw in this game. If it were up to me, I would want every single person who threw a punch in Dragon Ball to be playable in this franchise. But the fact of the matter is, they have to test the waters a little bit with this one. I mean, there's no freaking Raditz, there's no Zarbon or Dodoria, there's none of that here. We get the Ginyu Force, in a way. We got Ginyu, who is also another one of my favorite characters in the game, as he has a unique gimmick where he can summon each individual member, the Ginyu Force, just by using the projectile button. It's insane. So they are here in full representation, although, like I said, I would like to play as all of them individually. Not to mention, there's just a ton of characters from the original Dragon Ball series that could be in here, and while I'm not a big fan of Dragon Ball GT, I know that there's people out there who would want those characters to be in the game, and honestly, I can't blame them. There are some pretty cool character designs there, even though I'm not really a big fan of the story that they're actually attached to. That being said, this is a pretty good roster with a great mixture of characters with unique abilities and concepts, which will create a lot of great teams for people, and I can't wait to see all the cool combinations and attacks people are going to come up with. And to top it all off, this game actually has a story mode, and it's surprisingly good. I mean, it's nothing special or anything to truly write home about, but it's just entertaining enough for Dragon Ball fans. Not so much for the story itself, more so for the fact that you can actually have these great interactions with Dragon Ball characters that never had a chance to interact with one another. Not to mention, it's a great chance to make fun of the weak characters like Yamcha and Nappa and all that jazz. There's also a new character who's introduced in the game who's Android 21, who's kind of like a combination of Cell and Majin Buu and the androids. And, you know, to be honest, I haven't finished story mode quite yet, so I haven't unlocked her, but I'm anxious to see how she's going to play. I've definitely seen plenty of gameplay videos of her, and maybe if I do some more of these Dragon Ball Fighter videos in the future, I can do a video with Android 21 in it. That being said, though, everything that I've played this weekend has just been a blast. It's been really fun. It's been hard to tear myself away from the game itself, as it's just so addicting with the story modes and the arcades and all the training room stuff. Not to mention the actual hub world itself is really fun, and all the things that you can sort of like customize and everything. It's a great online experience. It's a great single player experience. The game is fun, but it's also really deep. It's Dragon Ball FighterZ, and it's freaking awesome. I highly recommend this for all Dragon Ball fans. Even if you're not really that great at fighting games and you're a little nervous about dipping your toes in the pool, don't worry, this game will still be fun. You can have a great story mode. You can play in the arcade modes, play with your friends. It's fantastic. You don't have to be some sort of freaking Evo champion to enjoy this game. You just need to be a Dragon Ball fan, and that's what makes it great. And so there it is. That's my overall impressions of Dragon Ball FighterZ. I really love this game. As soon as I'm done with this review, I'm totally going to go back and start playing it again. I cannot wait to see what the future lies for the series. There are going to be some DLC characters, 8 of them, and I would love to give my picks for who they could be. People are already data mining the game right now due to the PC version, and some of them might have already been leaked, but I would like to make a video of who I would like to see as the DLC characters in the game, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And if you guys want to see more Dragon Ball Fighter videos from me, maybe if I do like some online battles, or maybe some character videos about each and individual character, or maybe even just playing through the story mode, make sure to give me your thoughts. And, you know, I don't usually do video game stuff, but, you know, it took Dragon Ball to actually do this. I love this franchise, I love this game, and you guys need to check it out. So there it is. If you guys are playing this game this weekend, make sure to give me your thoughts about it. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you have a favorite character? What's your favorite team combination? Are you enjoying Dragon Ball FighterZ? Tell me all your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Dragon Ball Super related videos and tons of anime reviews. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay dandy, baby.